It was a warm, sunny afternoon, the kind of day when kids would be outside playing, laughing, and enjoying life. But for Lily, a small girl with bright eyes and a brave smile, life wasn't like that anymore. At only 7 years old, she was facing a battle most grown-ups couldn't even imagine. Lily had cancer. The doctors called it leukemia, but to Lily, it just meant pain, constant pain, doctor's appointments, and feeling sick all the time. Her once long, golden hair had fallen out because of the chemo, and her body was weak. But no matter how hard it got, Lily never let it show. She kept smiling, because she knew that's what her mom needed. Lily's mother, Samantha, was always by her side. A single mom who had already been through so much, Samantha was working 2 jobs just to pay for rent and food, but the medical bills were overwhelming. Insurance only covered so much, and chemo treatments were expensive. Each day, Samantha watched her daughter fight for her life, and she felt powerless. She had no idea how she was going to keep up with the bills. One evening, as Lily lay in bed after a long day at the hospital, she overheard her mom talking on the phone. Samantha was crying, something Lily rarely saw. She heard her mother say words like "can't afford" and "don't know what to do." That night, Lily's heart ached not only because of the sickness in her body, but because she saw how worried her mom was. The next day, while Samantha was at work, Lily came up with a plan. She might have been young, but she wasn't helpless. She was determined to help her mom, even if it was just a little bit. She didn't have much, but she had her spirit and her love for her mom. And there was one thing Lily knew how to do really well: make lemonade. The idea struck her while she was resting in bed. It was simple, really. She would set up a lemonade stand in front of her house, just like other kids did on hot days. But instead of keeping the money, she'd use it to help pay for her chemo treatments. It wasn't much, she thought, but it was a start. At least she wouldn't feel like a burden anymore. She could help her mom, even if it was just by a few dollars. When Samantha got home that evening, Lily was waiting with excitement. "Mom," she said with a grin, "I have an idea." Samantha listened as her daughter explained her plan, and though her heart broke at the thought of Lily selling lemonade to pay for something so serious, she didn't have the heart to say no. If this was what Lily wanted, if it gave her hope, then Samantha would support her all the way. The next morning, they gathered all the supplies: lemons, sugar, a pitcher, and cups. Lily, weak from her treatments but determined, squeezed the lemons herself, mixing the juice with sugar and water. Samantha made a simple sign that read, "Lemonade for Lily's chemo." They set up a small table near the sidewalk, and Lily sat behind it, her small frame bundled up in a blanket despite the warmth of the day. Her bald head glistened under the sun, but her smile was as bright as ever. At first, people walked by without paying much attention. It was just another lemonade stand on a sunny day, after all. But then one woman stopped, her eyes scanning the sign. "Chemo?" she asked softly. Lily nodded, still smiling, and the woman's eyes filled with tears. She bought 3 cups, even though she didn't need them, and left a $20 bill in the jar. From that moment on, things began to change. Word spread quickly in the neighborhood about the little girl selling lemonade to pay for her chemotherapy. People started coming from all over, buying cups of lemonade, and leaving donations far greater than the 50 cents Lily was asking for. Some left $5, others left 20, and a few even left $100 bills. It wasn't just about the lemonade. It was about helping a little girl who was fighting for her life. Lily, despite her weak body, sat at the stand every day, her smile never fading. She loved meeting all the kind people who stopped by, and every dollar in the jar felt like hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, she could take some of the burden off her mom's shoulders. Samantha was overwhelmed by the outpouring of support. She never expected strangers to be so kind, and every donation felt like a miracle. The local news station heard about Lily's lemonade stand and came to do a story. They interviewed her, and even though Lily was shy, she spoke bravely about why she was selling lemonade. "I just want to help my mommy," she said softly. She's done so much for me, and I don't want her to worry about the bills anymore. The news segment aired that night, and soon more people came, some just to meet the brave little girl they had seen on TV. One day, as Lily was sitting at her stand, something unusual happened. A tall man, dressed in jeans and a cowboy hat, walked by. He looked familiar, but Lily couldn't quite place him. He stopped in front of the stand and read the sign. Then he looked down at Lily, his face serious, but his eyes kind. "You're selling lemonade to pay for your chemo?" he asked in a deep, gravelly voice. Lily nodded, her smile still shining. "Yep," she said. "Do you want some? It's only 50 cents. The man chuckled softly. "I think I'll take a cup," he said, reaching into his pocket. But instead of pulling out a few coins, he pulled out a large wad of cash. He placed it on the table without saying a word. Lily's eyes widened, and she stared at the pile of money in disbelief. "That's too much," she exclaimed. "You only need to pay 50 cents. The man knelt down so he was eye level with Lily. "What you're doing here," he said, his voice gentle, "it's worth a lot more than 50 cents. Then he stood up, tipped his hat, and walked away. Samantha, who had been watching from the house, rushed over, her heart pounding. She couldn't believe what had just happened. When she reached the table, she looked at the cash, her eyes filling with tears. "Lily," she whispered, "do you know who that was?" Lily shook her head. "No," she said, "but he was really nice." Samantha wiped her eyes and smiled. That was Clint Eastwood. As Clint Eastwood walked away, Lily couldn't believe what had just happened. She didn't know much about famous people, but the name Clint Eastwood sounded familiar. She was just happy that someone had stopped to buy lemonade, especially someone who seemed so kind. The huge stack of cash he left on the table felt like a dream, and Lily wasn't sure if she should even touch it. Her mom, Samantha, stood next to her, holding back tears, overwhelmed by the generosity of this man who had just given them more than they could have ever imagined. Samantha looked at Lily with a soft smile and whispered, "Honey, this money is going to help us so much. You have no idea." She hugged Lily tightly, and in that moment, they both felt a spark of hope. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the kindness of strangers, about how people could come together to help someone in need. Lily had never expected any of this when she started selling lemonade. All she wanted was to help her mom and take away some of the worry. The news of Clint Eastwood's visit spread quickly. People began sharing the story on social media, and soon more donations poured in. Strangers from all over the country sent letters, money, and messages of encouragement. Every day, the mailbox was full of envelopes from people who had seen Lily's story and wanted to help. Some sent a few dollars. Others sent larger amounts. But what mattered most to Lily and Samantha was the love and support behind each gesture. Despite everything, Lily still insisted on sitting at her lemonade stand every day. Even though donations were coming in from all over, she wanted to do her part. Selling lemonade made her feel strong, like she was fighting back against the cancer in her own way. And every time someone stopped to buy a cup, they left with more than just lemonade. They left with the inspiration that came from seeing this little girl's courage and determination. One day, as Lily sat at her stand, she noticed a woman walking towards her with a little boy. The woman looked tired, like she had been carrying a heavy burden for a long time. As they approached, the woman smiled softly at Lily. "I saw you on the news," she said. "My son, Joshua, he's sick too. Not the same kind of sickness, but we've been in and out of the hospital for years now." Lily looked at Joshua, who was about her age, and smiled. "Do you like lemonade?" she asked, trying to bring some lightness to the conversation. Joshua nodded shyly. "Yeah, I do." Lily poured a cup and handed it to him, not asking for any money. "This one's on me," she said with a grin. Joshua smiled back, and for a moment, it was like they weren't two sick kids. They were just two kids enjoying a cup of lemonade on a sunny day. The woman, holding back tears, put a hand on Lily's shoulder. "You're so brave," she said. You're giving hope to so many people, including me." Lily didn't know what to say. She wasn't used to people calling her brave. She just wanted to help her mom and make things a little better. But hearing those words made her realize that what she was doing was bigger than just selling lemonade. She was helping people, giving them hope just by being herself. As the days went by, more and more people like Joshua and his mother stopped by the lemonade stand. Some came to buy lemonade, some came to donate, and some just came to share their stories. Each person who came brought with them a sense of community, a reminder that no one was alone in their struggles. And for Samantha, it was a lifeline. She had spent so long feeling like she was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. But now, she realized that there were so many people willing to help carry that burden. One evening, after everyone had gone home and the lemonade stand was packed up for the night, Samantha sat down with Lily on the porch. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the neighborhood. Samantha looked at her daughter, who was tired but still smiling, and felt an overwhelming sense of pride. "You know," Samantha said softly, "you've done something amazing, Lily. You've brought people together in a way I never thought was possible." Lily looked up at her mom, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Really?" she asked. Samantha nodded. "Really. And I'm so proud of you." Lily smiled, her heart swelling with happiness. She didn't feel like she had done anything special. She had just wanted to help. But now, she realized that even the smallest act of kindness could make a big difference. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Lily leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. "I'm just glad I can help," she whispered. And in that quiet moment, with the world still around them, Samantha knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together with love and hope in their hearts. The next few days at the lemonade stand were busier than ever. People from all walks of life continued to stop by, drawn in by Lily's story of bravery and her mission to help pay for her chemo treatments. The lemonade stand had become more than just a small business. It was a symbol of hope, a place where people came to feel connected, inspired, and uplifted. Lily's story had gone viral online, and donations were flooding in from across the country. Samantha couldn't believe the outpouring of support. People were donating not only money, but also sending cards, gifts, and heartfelt letters of encouragement. Some even shared their own stories of battling illness or hard times, expressing how Lily's courage had touched their lives. One day, as Lily sat behind her stand, a large group of people gathered around. They weren't just there for the lemonade. They were there to show their support. A local band came by to play music, creating a festive atmosphere. Children were running around, laughing and playing, while adults mingled and shared their stories. It was like a big block party, all in honor of Lily and her fight against cancer. Among the crowd, Lily spotted someone who seemed different. A tall, older man with a gentle smile approached her stand, and as he got closer, Lily recognized him instantly. Clint Eastwood had returned, and this time he wasn't alone. He was surrounded by a few other well-known faces, actors and actresses that Lily had seen in movies. But what really caught her attention was the envelope Clint was holding in his hand. Clint Eastwood stood tall in front of the lemonade stand, holding the envelope with both hands. His eyes, though weathered from years of life's experiences, held a softness that instantly put Lily at ease. The crowd hushed as they realized who was standing there, and all eyes were on Clint. He knelt down, bringing himself to eye level with Lily, and with a warm smile, he handed her the envelope. "This," he said softly, "is for you, Lily, from some friends who were deeply moved by your story." Lily looked at the envelope in awe. She didn't know what was inside, but she could feel the weight of its importance. Her tiny hands trembled as she took it from Clint. Her mom, standing nearby, watched with a mix of curiosity and gratitude. Samantha had no idea what was about to happen, but she could sense that something extraordinary was unfolding. Clint glanced at Samantha and nodded, signaling that it was time to open the envelope. Samantha stepped closer, and together, she and Lily carefully opened it. Inside was a check, but this wasn't just any check. The amount written on it was far beyond anything they could have imagined. Samantha's eyes widened as she read the number. It was enough to cover all of Lily's medical expenses, and then some. The overwhelming generosity left her speechless. Samantha's voice trembled as she whispered, I don't know what to say. Clint smiled gently. You don't need to say anything. We all just wanted to help. Tears welled up in Samantha's eyes, and she pulled Lily close, holding her daughter tightly. It wasn't just the money that touched her heart. It was the kindness behind it. The fact that strangers, people they had never met, cared so deeply about her little girl. This wasn't just a financial gift. It was a lifeline, a miracle in their darkest hour. As the crowd cheered and applauded, Lily looked up at Clint and smiled. Thank you, she said softly, her voice filled with gratitude. Clint patted her head gently. You're welcome, sweetheart. You've shown more bravery than most people ever do in a lifetime. You're a real hero, Lily. The rest of the day felt like a dream. People continued to stop by the lemonade stand, some to buy a cup, some just to offer words of encouragement. Lily felt stronger than she had in weeks, her spirits lifted by the overwhelming support. She had never imagined that selling lemonade would lead to something like this, but in her heart, she knew that everything was going to be okay. That night, as Lily and her mom sat together on the porch, watching the stars twinkle in the sky, Samantha turned to her daughter and said, You've changed so many lives, Lily. You're a blessing to everyone who meets you. Lily smiled softly. I just wanted to help. And help she did. The money from Clint Eastwood and his friends covered more than just the medical bills. It allowed Samantha to take time off work to care for Lily without the constant worry of financial strain. It gave them the freedom to focus on what mattered most, each other. The outpouring of love and support from the community, both near and far, gave them strength during the toughest days. But the story didn't end there. Despite the generosity and support, Lily's battle with cancer was far from over. The treatments continued, and some days were harder than others. There were moments when Lily felt too tired to get out of bed, too weak to sell lemonade, and too overwhelmed by the weight of her illness. But through it all, she never gave up. She knew that so many people were rooting for her, and that gave her the strength to keep going. One day, while sitting in the hospital for yet another round of chemotherapy, Lily looked up at her mom and said, Do you think I'll ever get better? Samantha's heart ached at the question. She had asked herself the same thing countless times, but she didn't want to show her fear to Lily. Instead, she smiled softly and said, I believe in miracles, sweetheart, and you are the strongest person I know. Lily nodded, her big brown eyes filled with hope. Maybe, she whispered, just maybe. It wasn't long after that day that something remarkable happened. The doctors, who had been monitoring Lily's progress closely, called Samantha in for a meeting. The news they had to share was unexpected and filled with hope. After months of treatments, surgeries, and hospital visits, Lily's cancer was in remission. The road ahead would still be challenging, but for the first time in a long time, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. When Samantha told Lily the news, she couldn't believe it. I'm really getting better? Lily asked, her voice filled with wonder. Samantha nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, sweetheart, you're getting better. The news spread quickly, and soon the entire community was celebrating. People who had followed Lily's journey from the beginning were overjoyed to hear that the little girl who had captured their hearts was finally on the path to recovery. Clint Eastwood, who had been following Lily's progress closely, sent a heartfelt message congratulating her on her bravery and resilience. For Lily, the news felt like a second chance at life. She was still young, but she had learned more about strength, kindness, and perseverance than most people ever do. She knew that she had been given a gift, not just a gift of healing, but the gift of love from so many people who had helped her along the way. With Lily's health improving, life began to return to a new kind of normal. The lemonade stand, which had become a symbol of hope, continued to operate, but now it served a new purpose. Lily decided that she wanted to give back to others, just as so many had given to her. "Mom," she said one day, "can we use the money from the lemonade stand to help other kids who are sick like me?" Samantha smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "Of course we can, sweetheart. That's a beautiful idea." And so, Lily's lemonade stand became more than just a way to raise money for her own treatments. It became a way to help other families going through the same struggles. Every dollar raised went towards supporting children battling serious illnesses, providing them with the care and resources they needed.